Is it just me or studying philosophy was nothing like what I thought it would be? I thought we would learn about Derrida, Hegel, Nietzsche, the absolute spirit, the Übermensch, Heidegger, the fun stuff. Instead, we were stuck learning formal logic and categorical syllogisms. Like, what the hell is this? How am I supposed to remember that a backward E means there exists, and a backward E with an exclamation mark means there exists exactly one? But yeah, I don't know if this is just an Anglo thing, like just a thing for Americans, Australians, Brits and Canadians, or if it's the same worldwide. But that's how my experience was. And there's a reason behind why I asked this. For those who don't know, there is some context. In the 20th century, there was a sort of revolt against continental philosophy. So continental philosophy is basically European philosophy, countries like France and Germany. And when an average person thinks about philosophy, this is what they think of. So for example, existentialism and critical theory fall into this category. And this has your Nietzsche's, your Albert Camus, your Derridas and your Batailles. Analytical philosophy on the other hand is a more mathematical way of doing philosophy. It's more hyper-rational. So here we got people like Bertrand Russell, G.E. Moore, Wittgenstein. Let's just say it's more of an English and American way of doing things. Well, this is an oversimplification, but analytical philosophers wanted to make philosophy more rational and more logical. They wanted to make a science out of philosophy, and for it to stand the rigors of academia. So for example, they wanted things like morality to be more objective. And all in all, what they wanted to do was get rid of all the poetry and subjectivity from philosophy. So they would probably scoff at some French bloke saying things like this. And then of course, this just become a gold standard in universities, especially in Anglican countries. Well, I have my opinions against it, but it makes sense in a more utilitarian way. I mean, it would help massively if morality, for example, can become a science. I mean, then there would be a right way to program a self-driving car. But yeah, I'm not too sure how things are in other parts of Europe, South America, Asia even. So if anyone does know, I would love to know in the comments below. But yeah, back to the topic. So if a guy makes the crazy decision of studying philosophy, knowing full well they're not getting a job, what will they be signing away their life for? Well, what you learn in undergraduate philosophy is much different than what you would expect. There's not a whole lot of Nietzsche and Hegel, and definitely not any Albert Camus. What you have are fallacies, Venn diagrams, epistemological problems, and complex arguments with multiple premises and conclusions. I mean, you might get lucky and find Hegel and say Marx if you study political philosophy, but that's just rare. Now, I'm not knocking it down. There is a reason to learn all of this. This is good to develop your critical thinking skills, especially when we have the internet and there are people spewing random shit. It's just, I'm not a big fan of analytical philosophy. It is definitely important and something that I think people should learn, and it should even be taught at school, but after a bit, I don't find it personally useful for myself. Honestly, I find there's something more to philosophy, and that I gain much more from reading Nietzsche, Bataille, Kierkegaard, etc. than some analytical philosopher. I've just always found continental philosophy more relevant to my soul and understanding of the world, because I personally feel that philosophy should be grounded in personal experience and history and spirituality and psychology rather than just mathematical formal logic. And to be honest, I think the main reason unis even use this approach is to make it more marketable for a job. And even academically speaking, it passes more easily the rigors of academic integrity. Because if you look at it this way, there can be no citations to Nietzsche in most cases, and your PhD supervisor will slap you if you had some citation like this. But in my opinion, as Deleuze puts it, philosophy is a creative field. It should change the way you see the world. Now before I end this video, there's also another group of people that I must address, the haters. These are the people who condescend to philosophy. This is your average STEM student or maybe even law student, and you'll find them in their natural habitat making jokes about our students not getting a job, which to be honest is true. And honestly, no one should be doing philosophy just to get a job. But to say there's no usefulness at all is kind of dumb. I mean, even their idols will acknowledge the benefits of philosophy. Now to understand these people more, I think they think all philosophers do is think about whether this table exists or not, or this chair exists or not. And certainly there's a chunk of philosophy that deals with this. But that's not all. There are philosophies and philosophers who have changed the world with how they have affected politics and how they've made people see the world differently. And even the so-called useless philosophy is part of a fundamental human instinct, which is curiosity. It's called knowledge for knowledge's sake. And this is not just the case for philosophy. Even things like maths have that. Pure maths can sometimes be much less, apparently at least, useful than applied maths. And I think this guy puts it very well.
Isn't philosophy kind of useless, though?
I'm sorry?
I just think it's a waste of time. Pontificating about the world, just what's the point?
Why do you think it's a waste of time?
Because you can't do anything with it. Unlike other subjects like maths or science or engineering.
So you think that something's only valuable if it's useful?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting philosophy. Thank you. Wait, no. I don't have a...
So you're a pragmatist. I respect that.
No, look, that doesn't...
So now for some actual advice. The difficult thing with philosophy is that every philosopher is replying to another philosopher. So Nietzsche is replying to Schopenhauer, Kant is replying to Hume, Marx is replying to Hegel, and so on and so forth. So if you want to study philosophy, you need to situate the philosopher you want to study in the right context within the history of ideas. Now, I'm going to talk in the context of Western philosophy, as that's where most of my audience is from. So in this case, the long and tedious way of doing this is to start linearly and beginning with the Greeks. So you can start with the pre-Socratic philosophers and move linearly to Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, medieval philosophy, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, this will take an entire lifetime to do. You literally have to be a monk or in jail to even consider doing this. But don't worry, there are other ways too. The other way is to read a book that compiles the history of philosophy, and there are many versions of these. There's one by Bertrand Russell and one by A.C. Grayling as well, but the one I prefer is Copleston's version. This history of philosophy has 11 volumes, and to be honest, reading all the volumes is a time-consuming activity, but trust me guys, it's worth it. In my opinion, it's the most accurate out of them all. But now I also want to talk about my current preferred method, which is actually very unstructured, but I just enjoy doing it this way. So to be honest, I can understand the pain of reading 11-volume history of philosophy, and either way, this method is useful even if you have read it. But what I do is I find a philosopher whose ideas interest me. Then I just read an introduction to that philosopher. I really like Oxford's very short introduction series to do this. For example, I was recently interested in Foucault, so I just read Foucault, a very short introduction, which placed him in the historical and philosophical context that was needed and gave a quick overview of his ideas. And now after reading this, I can go and read his actual works while knowing what he means, roughly. And the great thing is, these Oxford introductions are so short, so you can even finish them in a day or two. But a quick word of warning though, you will a lot of times have a big urge to just stop reading after the introduction. But trust me, that's not enough. You have to remember, every secondary work is going to be full of opinions and personal biases, so it's best you come up with your own interpretation. And the thing is, the introduction will only briefly cover this person's ideas. Also, alternatively, you can even go to Stanford's Encyclopedia of Philosophy or the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, but I just preferred Oxford's introductions. Shout out to my two members, Frieden and Sir Legion the 13. I love you guys. Guys, I would really appreciate it if you guys join too, as it really helps in supporting this channel. It helps me not rely on sponsorships. So the main thing currently is that members get access to members only videos. And these members only videos will consist of me rambling about random authors and concepts, guides on various hobbies, and future videos on how to be successful at YouTube even. And if I get 100 members, I was thinking of making a live online class or club on various disciplines like cinema, philosophy, horror, and even politics, with a professional instructor and a core syllabus made by me. It will give you guys an opportunity to learn a thing or two, and even meet new people, so hopefully we get there. And also I'm planning a lot of different things in the future for members, like ebooks, merch discounts, etc. Now if you try to join, you will see 3 levels, bronze, silver, and gold. The bronze level will give you access to short members only videos and shoutouts. The silver level will give you everything within the bronze level and more, so this means you will also get access to longer member only videos. And the gold level will give you access to everything in the previous levels, but also tips on starting your own YouTube channel. And when we make that club and class, I'll probably put it here in the gold level tier. But yeah, you guys can always change and go up and down according to your needs. I genuinely appreciate your support, and you know, every view, like, comment really counts. Also, I just want to say, I want to keep experimenting with my channel and try new formats and different types of videos, while obviously also giving you guys what you signed up for. So whenever you give me feedback, it actually really helps. And it might not seem like it, but I do take it very seriously. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.